they did it. They did it. Doggone it, they did it. And we are going to talk about it today on Village Vice. He is Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. It's a brand new week. It's a brand new show.
Yes.
And Zach, there's been so much talk about Auburn's win over Michigan State and advancing to another Final Four, being the only school in the state of Alabama to make it to 2 Final Fours, being the only SEC school in the last decade to make multiple Final Fours.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one. Interesting.
Yeah. Only SEC school to make multiple Final Fours in the last 10 years.
Wow.
What is the most impressive part of this feat, in your opinion?
I think the most impressive is the sustained excellence since the start of the season, where this team has had so many opportunities to stumble, trip up, and fall to where arguably they did in the last week of the regular season. And boy, when they did it, when they didn't look like the best team for 1 week out of the last 12 months of the year, man, everybody was all about it. Everybody was so excited. Auburn lost 3 of their last 4. They shouldn't have been the number 1 overall seed, whatever. And it just, the drop-off never happened.
Yeah.
The drop-off never happened, Brad. So I think the most impressive thing is the sustained excellence from, the opening tip of the season to the fight on the plane in Houston, to then whooping Houston in dramatic fashion, to winning Maui, to picking up more impressive wins throughout the non-conference, then, doing what they did in the SEC, and then obviously in March.
Yeah.
The sustained excellence, and then obviously getting back to the Final Four. I mean, that's the most impressive thing.
Yeah. I think mine is very similar to that. It's in the same lane of traffic anyway. Today's show is brought to you by mybookie.ag. Yes. They're going to give you a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. All you have to do is when you sign up, use promo code BARN, BARN. Very easy. Promo code BARN gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 and a free $10 casino chip to use. mybookie.ag. I think for me, it's the fact that when you go into a season and you say Final Four or bust, that's stupid. It really is. That's so stupid. And I don't care if you're Duke saying it. I don't care if you're Kansas.
It's a rough world. Yeah.
It's stupid because it's so hard. Even if you ransack your way through college basketball all season, it's one game. That Kentucky team made the Final Four, but like the most dominant college teams ever, all you have to do is slip up once against a good team, against a top 15 team nationally, or like the 8th best team nationally on a neutral floor. So this team set out after losing in one of like the worst losses in program history last year to Yale in the first round. And they constructed their team and they built their team, and guys came back and they made the additions and they let the guys get away they let get away or pushed away or whatever. And they built this team for one reason. They teed off on a par 5 trying to hit a hole in one. And they did it.
Yeah.
They were the best team in the country all year. Well, they better finish it or else it's going to. And every national show, everybody picked them to lose. In the first, everybody had a trendy upset pick. It was going to be Louisville. It was going to be Creighton. It was going to be because who's the first 1 seed to fall? Oh, I bet it's Auburn. Oh, I bet it's Auburn. Might still be.
Could technically still happen.
Sure. But that's not what they thought was going to happen. They
weren't saying it was going to happen in the Final Four for sure.
They didn't think it was going to happen. And they're still here. They're still here. And not only are they still here, they're playing. Let me tell you who Auburn looked like against Michigan State. They looked like Maui Auburn against Michigan State.
Yeah, they did.
They looked like second half Iowa State Auburn to start the game against Michigan State. Bless you.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, that's what they look like right now. So buckle up. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It is going to be a lot of fun. And obviously the showdown against Florida, ever since Auburn lost to Florida, there's been this debate of like, who is the best team? Who is the best team? Auburn's got the best resume, but Florida won head-to-head. Auburn won the SEC regular season championship, which we all agree is more impressive, but Florida won the tournament championship.
Yeah.
On Saturday, there's no gray area. We know. We will
Yeah.
know who the more deserving team is.
Yeah.
We will know who the better team is, and we will know which one of these teams gets the honor of playing for a national championship.
You know what I love about this, too? That regular season game. Well, Auburn's at home. They're the favorite. What did Auburn have to be hungry about in that game? What they have to be? Who was the hungrier team going in? It was Florida. Far and away, it was Florida. So now you get the best team in the country in Auburn, the overall #1 seed, playing a game where they're not the favorite. They got a chip.
That's true.
They got a little hunger, a little fire. Listen, Bruce Pearl took the Michigan State matchup and made Auburn the underdog somehow. He somehow made Auburn, and he did it publicly. And
he made it about Izzo.
Yeah. CBS did this great interview. I love the interview of BP and Izzo together about 45 minutes before the game. And Izzo even referenced it. He was like, they're shooting better, they're rebounding better, they're defending better, but we're the favorite, right? Like, he kind of called him out on it. He's the master at that. Bruce is the master at that. And everybody's made it easy for him going into this matchup.
Well, I think he'll, assuming however many more games Auburn plays, most can be 2.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be favored again this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not favored against Florida.
Right.
And then I think they'll play Duke. But I think even if they play Houston, I think Duke or Houston will be favored. It might be 1.5. It's going to be close.
Yeah.
But I don't think Auburn's favored again this year.
I agree with you. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd take it.
I got, like, all season long, I want to be the #1 team, and I want to be favored in every game going in. Get me to this point in the season, though, with this specific group and how they play when there's actually something to play for, when they're hungry. Give that. I'll take it. Absolutely. Put it on a marquee somewhere.
Now, I want to be careful when I make this point, but I think I don't think Florida has been as dominant in the tournament as I expected them
They haven't.
to be.
Yeah.
I don't think Florida's playing their best basketball anymore. I think they look better in the SEC tournament than they did in the NCAA tournament. And I will add the caveat, though, that I think Florida's path to the Final Four was tougher than Auburn's path to the Final Four. I think Texas Tech is better than Michigan State. I think UConn is better than Creighton. And then who am I missing? Who am I missing for Florida? Regardless, I think Florida's path to the Final Four is tougher than Auburn's.
I mean, the 16 seeds are a wash. They're not.
Who cares?
You wouldn't compare those, but
their second game was UConn, right?
Norfolk State, UConn, Maryland, Texas Tech. You think Maryland was better than Michigan?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. I
Close,
don't know that I do,
but I do.
But okay. Yeah, I don't know that I don't know that I would say there's a lot of discernible difference between those two. And Michigan State was a 2 seed and Texas Tech was a 3. I mean, again, I don't know how much that matters, but they were close. I'm not going to push back too hard on that.
Yeah. Well, I think UConn, I think, is significantly better than Creighton.
I don't know if I think they are this year.
Okay, whatever. All right, so I mean, you think the pass was pretty similar then?
Yeah, I do. I'd have to go back and look at what the teams did in the Big East, but
gotcha.
Yeah, no, I think they were close.
Gotcha. I mean, this game though, I mean, it could be anybody's. I did say on another show, I think whoever wins this wins it by a few possessions.
Yeah,
I think this is a battle throughout. With 5, 6, 7 minutes left to go, I think we're going to see one team take over.
Yeah.
And we've seen that from both of these teams during this run, where when the lights get a little bit brighter at the end and you need to kind of put the pedal down and get the gas going, we see these teams step up.
Yeah.
You saw Auburn do it against Michigan. You saw Auburn do it against Creighton. You saw Florida do it against Texas Tech. You saw them do it against UConn. You saw them do it against Maryland. So to me, I think one of these teams is gonna give way to the other in the final few minutes. That is my prediction for Saturday.
Yeah, I could see that. And I mean, I think of the Final Four teams, Florida's win to get there was easily the least impressive. They were on the ropes with just a few minutes to go in the game, and they went into hack-a-shack mode early. They started playing analytics and, free throw percentages and things like that, which they would do in this game. If Auburn's ahead with 5 minutes to go, the last 5 minutes may take a half hour.
And it, the way Auburn shot free throws down the stretch, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
So I just, you're going to have that. I'm going to see how they shot free throws against Michigan State, because I don't know. I think they shot okay against Michigan State at the free throw line, didn't they?
They may have. It didn't.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They were 11 for 20. Never mind.
I mean, I don't know if anybody ever made two, if anybody ever made both of their free throws when we went out there. I mean, even Denver at the end, he went 1 of 1. It's like, what are we doing? Why can't anybody make a free throw?
Yeah, Denver was 4 of 4. Miles was 1 of 2. Dylan
I'm thinking
was
Miles.
1 of 4. Yeah,
Okay.
Chaney was 2 for 4. Tahad was 0 for 1. Tahad only had 1 free throw attempt in that game.
Wild.
Yeah.
Anyway. That was on his and 1. He made that basket, though.
Yes, he did.
Boy, he made that basket. Where do you rank the moment where Janai runs out? And then, is involved in the defensive play, then drains the 3.
Yeah. He pulls down a one-arm rebound. Yeah. And then not on the first possession down the floor, but on the second possession down the floor. That's I can't think of a better, more dramatic. It's a moment we're going to talk about in Auburn athletics history for a couple decades at least.
Yeah, I mean, we've got our moments in football.
Yep.
I'm not going to compare it to the kick 6 or the prayer or the the double doink or whatever, just because I think football and basketball are different conversations.
Yeah.
But in basketball, I can't think of a moment that has made me feel that way.
It's the moment you put on the movie poster. If you make a movie about this team, you put Janai with one arm hanging down, making the 3.
The only bad thing about it is I think the historic 20-2 run against Michigan is now the second most interesting thing that's happened this tournament.
Yeah, maybe. And look, and if Auburn goes on to win it all, there are going to be some moments Saturday and next Monday that, are there too. But credit CBS, who did a phenomenal look, man. The CBS folks know what they're doing when it comes to tournament production. They were ready with that shot of Janai coming back from the locker room to the end,
where it's angled down, looking up, and there's all it's kind of a tight fit. He's having weave through,
which is brilliant, by the way. Two things. When a camera is focused up, it's to accentuate how big somebody is.
Yes.
And then when it's tight, it's to accentuate the emotion of the moment.
Yes.
So a tight shot looking up.
So good.
It's such a good shot. And they catch him come back and they catch the
he's having to navigate through people too, because there's other people standing in the walkway. And so it's kind of crowded. And then, I mean, with it just being pretty much an Auburn home crowd there, the crowd mic work of the eruption and the slow build of he's back, but what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And then the fact that they're still on it and it's a stoppage in play and he can sub in. It's oh, he's coming in.
Yeah.
And then he gets the rebound. And then he makes the 3. I just can't think of another moment that has made me feel that way.
I can tell you the only moment similar to that in basketball was 25 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Auburn's playing Kentucky. They haven't beaten Kentucky in a decade. Chris Porter gets injured. It's a home game. Porter gets injured. He's the most important player on the team. He goes out for several minutes, and he does come back. He comes back in the game, and the eruption from the crowd was incredible.
Yeah.
But that, and that was Kentucky. It's not an insignificant game because they beat Kentucky for the first time in a decade.
Sure.
And it was Porter, but it wasn't the Elite 8. It wasn't with a Final Four berth on the line, and it wasn't the best basketball player in Auburn history.
So I said that earlier this year, and you pushed back on it. We good now?
I think we're good now, yeah.
If I said, hey, if Johni Broome, if they get a championship and they go to the Final Four or whatever, like we got to say Johni Broome's the best Auburn basketball player ever.
Yep.
And you said, hold on.
Yeah.
We're good now? You're with me?
Yeah. I don't remember that I pushed back on that, quite frankly.
Okay.
But
I feel like you said, hold on. I thought you said, hold on for a second. Let's see.
I might have said, let's see how the rest of the season goes, which I think was fair.
Which we're there now.
But I think at this point, 2 championships, a Final Four, a consensus All-American. I don't know what he's going to do in the NBA, but that's not the discussion.
I don't care.
The discussion is Auburn basketball player. I think it's Johni Broome 1, and then you have the discussion about everybody else.
I think the reason there are people that say, well, hold on, let's see what Johni Broome does in the NBA is because that's how we've measured Charles.
Yeah.
Because Charles didn't win a championship here. Charles has become, obviously he did what he did in the NBA and the Olympics and all of the, the gold medals and stuff like that.
Media. Yeah.
But and then the media, just the overall impact he has on the game of basketball and the fact that he champions Auburn.
Yeah.
But we're judging them differently because their careers are so different.
Yeah.
Like Johni's not going to be as good as Charles Barkley was in the NBA. Johni's not going to be the face of TNT or whatever.
Right.
But when it comes to what he did at Auburn,
Johni
Broome is the best player to ever play basketball for Auburn University.
That is correct. Now, Charles wasn't without accolades. And now, like Charles was, he was the player
we got to do
of the
this
year.
thing, right? Let me clarify just real quick. Like, just because I think Johni is a better Auburn basketball player than Charles does not mean I think Charles is bad.
The point I'm making, those people who will talk about Barkley don't like, it's not just because he's an all-time NBA great. Like, he didn't blossom into this great NBA player out of nowhere. He wasn't an obscure college player. He was the SEC Player of the Year in 1984. He was a third-team All-American. He was a first-team All-SEC. He was a 2-time second-team All-SEC. He was the tournament MVP, the SEC tournament MVP in 1984. So especially 84 was this spectacular season. Well, Johni has had also
a better season.
He's had a better season. He'll get more accolades, and they've gone to the Final Four. They're comparable, but I think
and they won a championship.
Yeah, right. Regular season championship, and Johni is the tournament championship from last year too. So most decorated. I think you put Johni at the top, absolutely at the top.
I put this on socials last night, and I guess earlier today. I said no other player should ever wear number 4 for Auburn basketball again. Do you agree?
I agree. Yes. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And I don't know what they're going to officially or unofficially do, but I bet there's a few numbers we don't see for a long time, if ever. Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see a 44 again either.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Because statistically, he's not,
Will there ever be a player with more wins than Dylan Cardwell?
Well, that's fair.
There's no way, right?
No,
I hope it happens because, you just have to have sustained success for so long. But what he's done off the field or off the court too, like he's just become such this torch, this symbol of everything that Auburn fans love. I don't know. Is 44 going to hang from the rafters? I don't know. 4 might. I don't know if 44 does. But if Johni, or if Bruce Pearl is here and he's recruiting somebody wants to wear 44, I bet Bruce says, hold on, let's give it some time.
That's fair. It's really hard to negate the impact. And again, just because he's not average double figures, I looked at today the best defenders on the second weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Is he up there, I assume?
Dylan's number 1.
He's number 1?
He's fewest points per primary target offensively. When he's guarding the guy who's the primary target offensively, they don't score.
And they'll put him out on the wing on a small, like a ball handler. It looks so weird, but it works.
It works.
Okay. All right. Go get him, Dylan.
I never thought I would say, like when Chris Porter played here and he was number 4, I thought there'll never be a number 4 who plays for Auburn as good as Chris Porter.
Yeah.
And now number 4 may get retired, but not because of Chris Porter.
It's crazy.
44 is a really good discussion because I think everybody would agree with 4. There's nobody watching this who would disagree that 4 needs to be retired.
Unless you're just against the idea of retiring jerseys in general.
Sure. 44 is interesting, though. All-time winningest player, 3-time SEC champion, Final Four. We'll see what happens next.
Yeah. And the conversation does heat up a little bit depending on, what happens with even the next game. But I've got another big picture conversation.
Okay.
Like, how much did the program change on Saturday? Like, I know we've done the whole like basketball school thing, but this feels like it like took a step culturally within the Auburn fan base, going to 2 Final Fours in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And the only SEC school, apparently, as you say, in the last decade to go twice.
Yep.
In the most competitive era of SEC basketball.
It's a good question.
I mean, what are we doing here?
Well,
like, what is this? Like, what does this mean? Does this mean like, okay, maybe Auburn basketball gets more NIL money?
Yeah.
Does this mean, okay, like you got to give Bruce Pearl what he wants and they get, the extra additions to Neville after all this time, just because the level of money that's about to come in could be tremendous and ridiculous, especially if you win another one. Right. And so I guess my question is like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
Like, what are we about to see, regardless of what happens against Florida and then hopefully either Duke or Houston? Yeah. But I think they've done enough to culturally change sports when it comes to Auburn.
And it was already pretty culturally significant.
It was moving.
Yeah.
But there was this doubt of like, okay, it was a strike in the pan. And then it's like, we haven't gotten close since then. But then you get back. You finally get back and you break all of these curses or all of these flukes or, fill in whatever you want to call it. It's not a fluke anymore because you've done it twice. And you've done it with 2 totally different rosters. And you've done it in 2 totally different ways. And you did it against the toughest schedule in college basketball. I don't know what's about to happen with Auburn basketball. Like, I genuinely don't know what's about to happen. This fan base, I think culturally it's about to shift. I'm not going to say like, basketball is going to overtake football. That's not what I'm saying. But I just think the level of care, I don't think we've seen what it's about to be.
I can't push back against that because we saw how much it changed after the first Final Four. It did change. I mean, there was excitement and there was support, but it changed dramatically after the first Final Four.
Yeah.
As a result, by the way, the level of player that Bruce was able to get to commit to the program changed significantly.
Right.
After the first Final Four. And you touched on the way they built the roster was different now than it was then. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the caliber of player changed.
If you're a top player in the transfer portal and Bruce Pearl calls you, you have to you have to listen and you have to talk to your family about the call you just had. You have to.
Why would you not consider Auburn before any other place if you're a top transfer portal target? Everybody's going to spend money.
Especially if you're big.
Well, and you got a couple things at work here. Denver Jones and Janai Broome have completely changed the way that you can recruit now in the portal. If you're a high volume scoring guard, they can develop you into the defensive player of the year. They can develop you into a guy who.
Let's. I mean, a lot of people wanted Denver, and a lot of people wanted Janai in the portal.
Yeah.
People weren't knocking down Chaney Johnson's door.
Right.
Miles Kelly was like a last-second ad. And it was like, oh, okay, this is the cherry on top. Cool. I don't really know how you're going to fit, but let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Because of the whole JJ Pegues thing.
Yeah.
Like, people weren't like lining up for Chad Baker Mazzara to come play for their school. And now all of those guys are just incredible role players. And so if I'm Bruce Pearl And it's like, you're about to lose a lot of these guys. And it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you're the number one guard in the portal, or, hey, maybe you're leaving Kansas and, Flory, and say, hey, let's my last two bigs that I've gotten, Walker Kessler and then Janai Broome, like, come on, like, let's don't overthink this. It's just, I think we're about to be in a totally different tier than we have been.
Players have to be able to put in the work. They have to be willing to put in the work. We've seen highly regarded players come in here and not be willing to put in the work, and they ain't here anymore. So you got to do that first. But if you're willing to do the work, the development of this staff, and we've said this now for a decade,
right?
The development this staff is able to achieve with these guys. So if you come in here as one of the top players anyway, this isn't about rah-rah, megaphone, microphone, hype, and all. No, you're going to be developed on the floor. You're going to compete for championships. You're going to win championships. Why? Why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't Auburn be at the top of anybody's list? They are, and will continue to be.
And the pieces that you're going to have around you next year, it's like, they're losing a lot. Yeah. They're not losing everything. Dahad expecting to come back. CBM expected to come back. I mean, we'll see what happens with some of the other guys. I think they're going to pursue some eligibility situations with Chaney, which they'll certainly need. But we'll see. Yeah. We'll see who all they bring back.
And around the country, everybody's Jenga tower is getting knocked down. Everybody's rebuilding their tower in the offseason. 2/3 of every team is gone. Yeah. Every year now. So I love this staff and their ability to pinpoint the talent and develop them. And no, this isn't slowing down anytime soon.
No, I just think what happened Sunday, it was big because you're going to another Final Four, but I really think it's larger than that. So when you zoom out and you look at what Auburn basketball, the program, is getting from this, I think it adds another level of legitimacy that they didn't have. Not that they weren't legitimate, but you're talking about multiple Final Fours now. I don't know the answer to this, and I've asked it hypothetically a few times, but how many folks have a coach in their current spot have been to multiple Final Fours?
A coach in their current spot that have been to multiple Final Fours.
Yeah, at the school that they're currently at. It's you got UConn. Yeah, I assume Kansas. I don't know that. I'm just assuming.
Yeah. Kelvin Sampson.
Sure.
Kelvin Sampson has taken Houston to 2.
Okay.
I've got the list right here of multiple Final Fours. But
Duke doesn't count because he hasn't been. This is his first one, correct?
Right. Yeah. And Cal took Kentucky to 4, but he's not at Kentucky now.
Right.
No. Bruce appears to be the only coach.
One of 3.
No. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Kelvin Sampson. Who did you say was the other one?
Hurley, obviously. He's got 2 natties.
That's right. Okay, yes. Yeah.
Kansas? How many does Self have?
Self probably does. Why is this list not complete? Oh, because this is 2 schools. Okay.
I assume Kansas has been to 2 Final Fours. Yeah. I'm assuming that.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I'm sure they have. Yeah, Self has to be.
Okay. Just what a crazy situation we're in.
Yeah.
The more I think about it, the more unbelievable.
Izzo has done it.
Okay.
Izzo's done it a bunch. Izzo's gone to 8 Final Fours. Here, I finally have the list. Self has 4.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. He's just been there so long.
Mark Few has 2.
Oh, interesting.
Danny Hurley has 2. That's it. Those are your current coaches with multiple Final Fours.
It's what are we doing?
How about that?
What are we doing?
Those other coaches are among the best that have ever coached the game. Bruce Pearl is among the best who has ever coached the game. Period.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hey, your shirt is among the best that you have ever worn. Where'd you get it?
Rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use promo code VICE20 for 20% off your order. This is the quarter zip. They also have performance hoodies and, of course, collared shirts. Be sure to check them out. Rhoback.com. Use promo code VICE20. Brad, I think that does it for today's show.
It does. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We have a lot more conversation coming up throughout this week about the Final Four. We'll get some spring football in there as well. Just a lot coming up. We appreciate you being here for the conversation. I'm glad to be back in my office today with regular light and nobody trying to break doors down.
That was crazy. I feared for your safety.
Yeah. I'm just glad you're healthy again.
Me too, dude. That's the sickest I've been in years. So
if you missed our show, if you missed Friday's show last week, you wanna go check that out. It struck up a lot of conversation. Remember, until next time, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.